Today in history. In jigsaw puzzles.
56 years ago today, January 30th, 1969, the Beatles did their last public performance on a London rooftop.
I'm old. I'm puzzled. And I'm only able to change one of those.
To acknowledge this day, I thought I would do this 1,000-piece puzzle from University Games UK with an image of the Beatles' Let It Be album cover. Honestly, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to finish this puzzle. I completed the majority of the image in 6.5 hours and had only the outer border pieces and an inner row of black pieces around the edge of the puzzle to complete. It took me an additional 10 hours of work because of the absolutely atrocious quality of this puzzle. You'll see in the time-lapse how many times I had to build and rebuild areas because the pieces were thin and poorly cut, so I was constantly getting misfits. Every time I tried to spin the puzzle to get the area I was working on closest to me, it basically destroyed parts of the puzzle due to its loose fit. If I haven't made it clear yet, I hated this puzzle. So let's get it over with. The Beatles' rooftop concert stands as one of the most memorable moments in rock history, representing both the peak of their influence and the end of an era. Performed atop the Apple Corps headquarters at 3 Savile Row in London, the impromptu performance was the band's final public concert and captured the essence of the Beatles' spirit during their turbulent time. Despite the tension surrounding their recording for the Let It Be album and their imminent breakup, the rooftop concert provided a brief, exhilarating moment of joy and unity for the band, as well as for their fans. The concert took place during the recording of Let It Be, a project that was meant to showcase the Beatles returning to their roots and recording music in a more stripped-down, live setting. By 1969, the band's internal dynamics had become increasingly fraught. Personal differences, creative disputes, and the general sense of disillusionment had begun to take a toll on the band's cohesion. John Lennon's growing relationship with Yoko Ono, Paul McCartney's emerging control over the band's creative direction, and George Harrison's frustration over his limited role in the group all contributed to an atmosphere of tension. It was against this backdrop that the rooftop concert was conceived. The idea to perform live again was initially brought up as part of the Let It Be documentary. The Beatles wanted to create a spontaneous live moment to counterbalance the highly structured and often contentious studio recordings. The rooftop was chosen as a location to offer a sense of immediacy and surprise. This would not only be a traditional concert, but an unconventional, guerrilla-style performance. On the day of the concert, the band set up a small sound system and instruments on the roof of the Apple Corps building, with only a few crew members and a handful of onlookers on the street below. The performance was intimate and raw, with the Beatles playing a selection of songs from their upcoming album, including Get Back, Don't Let Me Down, I've Got a Feeling, and One After 909. The music, though rough around the edges, was infused with a palatable energy that reflected the Beatles' powerful presence as live performers. The band's tight chemistry was still evident, even though they were far from the cohesive unit they once were. John Lennon's relaxed, playful demeanor, Paul McCartney's animated performance, George Harrison's soulful guitar work, and Ringo Starr's steady drumming, along with guest musician Billy Preston's electric piano, created a unique atmosphere that captured both the rooftop spectators and the audience watching from home. As the performance went on, the surrounding crowd in the street grew, the sound of the Beatles' music reverberating through the air, catching the attention of pedestrians, office workers, and eventually police officers. The authorities arrived shortly before the set ended, responding to complaints about the noise. The police asked the band to stop, marking an abrupt end to the performance. It lasted only 42 minutes, but the brief moment encapsulated the essence of the Beatles' legacy. Unpredictable, exhilarating, and iconic. It was also the last time they would perform live together as a band. The Beatles officially disbanded later that year, and the Let It Be album, along with the documentary, would serve as a bittersweet farewell to their public performances. So thanks for watching the video. Also in the comments is a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page if you'd like to support this channel. And subscribe to this channel to see what other nonsense I can get up to. Because, you know, I'm old, I'm bored, and I'm only able to change one of those.